I am Charles Darwin. I was born on February 12, 1809, in Shrewsbury, England, into a respectable family with a curiosity about the natural world. My father, Robert Darwin, was a well-known doctor, and my grandfather Erasmus Darwin, a physician and natural philosopher, was an early thinker on evolution. As a boy, I was energetic, curious, and loved exploring the outdoors, but I was also something of a disappointment to my family at first. You see, I wasn't particularly drawn to academics in the conventional sense. I loved collecting beetles, studying plants, and learning about the natural world, but my interests did not fit the structured mold my father expected. My father sent me to the University of Edinburgh at 16 to study medicine. It was a miserable experience for me. I couldn't bear the sight of blood, and medical studies seemed a poor fit for my temperament. While in Edinburgh, however, I joined a natural history society and met people who were deeply fascinated by botany and marine biology. I learned to dissect, observed marine life, and started considering the larger questions of nature. Disappointing my father again, I left Edinburgh without completing my medical degree. My family then thought that a career in the clergy might suit me better, and I agreed to try. I enrolled at Christ's College, Cambridge, in 1828. Though religious studies still didn't capture my imagination, Cambridge was pivotal. I became close friends with John Stevens Henslow, a botanist who nurtured my interest in natural history and helped me see science as a serious discipline. It was Henslow who recommended me for the voyage that would forever change my life. In 1831, Henslow introduced me to Captain Robert Fitzroy, who was preparing his ship, HMS Beagle, for a survey voyage around the world. Fitzroy wanted a naturalist on board, someone who could catalog the species and ecosystems we encountered. It was an extraordinary opportunity, and despite my father's initial objections, I accepted the offer. I packed my notebooks, scientific tools, and embarked on the voyage that would forever change my understanding of life. We set sail from Plymouth on December 27, 1831. Our mission was to chart the coasts of South America, but I was driven by a deeper curiosity to learn everything I could about the diversity of life and the history of our planet. Over the next 5 years, I visited countless islands, jungles, and mountains. South America astonished me. I saw fossils of giant armadillo-like creatures and sloths embedded in rock layers, suggesting they were ancient ancestors of living species. This realization struck me. Species change over time, and they do so in response to their environment. The Galapagos Islands were my most pivotal stop. Here, I encountered finches that seemed like variations on a single theme, each bird perfectly adapted to its particular island. Some had strong beaks suited to cracking nuts, while others had thin beaks for catching insects. The finches had a strong familial resemblance, but were so well adapted to their specific niches that I wondered if they had all descended from a single common ancestor, adapting over generations to their surroundings. It was an idea that simmered in my mind long after we left the Galapagos. By the time I returned to England in 1836, my notebooks were filled with observations, sketches, and questions. I began studying my collections carefully, consulting with scientists, and reading voraciously. I became fascinated by Charles Lyell's Principles of Geology, which proposed that the Earth was shaped by slow, gradual processes over eons. This long timescale suggested that life, too, could change gradually over vast periods. I was also deeply influenced by the work of Thomas Malthus, whose ideas on population growth and competition for resources provided me with a framework to understand natural selection. I realized that in nature, species produce more offspring than can survive, leading to competition for resources. This struggle for existence meant that only the fittest individuals, those with advantageous traits, would survive and pass these traits on to the next generation. This process would lead to gradual change, with populations adapting over generations to their environment. It was a mechanism that could explain the origin of species, and it electrified me. I called this process natural selection, though I kept my work secret for many years, fearing the controversy it would spark. For 2 decades, I researched, experimented, and wrote. I raised pigeons to observe variation, studied the anatomy of barnacles, and tested my ideas on a small scale to be sure I wasn't mistaken. Finally, in 1858, I received a manuscript from Alfred Russel Wallace, a young naturalist who had independently developed a theory of evolution by natural selection. His ideas mirrored mine so closely that I knew it was time to publish. In 1859, I published On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. The book explained my theory of evolution in detail, providing a wealth of evidence from geology, anatomy, embryology, and the distribution of species. I argued that all life on Earth shares a common ancestry, and that species change over time through natural selection. The response was immediate and intense. Many scientists embraced the theory, recognizing its explanatory power, while others attacked it, especially religious leaders who believed it challenged the biblical account of creation. The controversy didn't deter me. I was convinced that my observations were sound. I continued to write, publishing works on the evolution of humans, emotions in animals, and the importance of crossbreeding in plants. My later work on human evolution, The Descent of Man, examined the origins of human morality, intelligence, and social instincts. These were sensitive topics, and they made me quite unpopular in certain circles, but I believed the truth was worth pursuing. I spent the last years of my life at Down House in Kent, quietly continuing my research and enjoying time with my wife, Emma, and our children. Though I had struggled with bouts of illness throughout my life, science sustained me, giving me purpose and joy. I died on April 19, 1882, at the age of 73, surrounded by my family and leaving behind a legacy that would forever change humanity's understanding of itself. Looking back, I am proud to have sparked a revolution in thought. My theory of evolution by natural selection was just the beginning. It laid the groundwork for fields like genetics, ecology, and molecular biology. I wanted people to see the beauty of nature, the intricate connections binding all living things, and the grandeur of a world constantly evolving. The simplicity and elegance of natural selection brought me closer to understanding life itself, an endless tapestry of adaptation, competition, and transformation that began billions of years before us and will continue long after we are gone. Today, my work endures as part of the foundation of biology. It has helped humans better understand our place in the natural world, and, in some way, I hope it has inspired others to seek truth, to question, and to marvel at the wonder of life on this ever-changing planet.